Hi, this is 52 Weeks of Design Live. I'm Alexa Hampton, and I'm at the hair. So hopefully I will be speaking softly, or at least more so than usual, and the incredible Anderson Somerselle will be giving us what we need to know. It's really hot here too. Anderson Somerselle. Hi. Hi. Oops. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I am at O'Hare and I only want to hear you. There's like a lot of buzzing. So, Anderson, I would like to say hello to you. I,
Hello to you.
as you know, I follow you. You
Yeah.
crack me up. And finding out that you were a radio personality makes everything so much more clear.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that was an interesting time of my life. I can't even, like, I'm just always in awe that I did it. I'm like, and at a
Yeah.
rock station.
At a what?
At a rock station, a hard rock station. I feel like I should have a
Keep going.
cocktail. No, yeah, I was a radio personality on a rock station. I had gone to school for broadcasting. First, I went to school for culinary, but that didn't work out. My chef said to me, my chef, who we call professor, said to me, "This is not going to be the career for you, Anderson."
So we have to back up. Sounds like there's a lot of you have a lot of interest. You obviously are good at a lot of things. So where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in St. Thomas, and I grew up on a very tiny island called Virgin Gorda in the British Virgin Islands. And I lived there till I was 13 years old. And then one summer, my mom was like, "Oh, we're moving to America," and I'm like, but I'm going to high school. We can't do that."
It's heartbreaking.
You can't just you just can't move to America. Yeah, so I moved to America when I was 13, moved to New Jersey. And yeah, I was a Jersey boy I went to middle school in Orange, New Jersey. And then I went to high school in Hightstown, New Jersey, which is a tiny town outside of Princeton, New Jersey. Yeah, a very quiet
Sounds like
existence.
in a lot of places that were too small to contain the phenom.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Right? It sounds very good.
That
Good.
sounds really good. I'll go with that.
So so your first career that you thought you were going to do was broadcast journalism?
No, it was okay. Well, I always thought I was going to be an actor, and realized not interested in that at all. Never. But I would tell you why. I picked culinary and I studied international baking and pastry, and I'll tell you the reason why. And my mother hates when I tell this story. So our school they printed in the school newspaper, they would print where all the seniors are going to school. And I wanted to be in the school newspaper so bad, but I was a bad student. I wasn't really good. And so I was like, oh, well, I have to pick a school that's not like crazy. Like some kids were going to Princeton, some kids were going to like, Penn State, all that. And I was like, well, I need to pick something fun and I need to pick someplace exotic because I want to be in the school paper.
Noteworthy.
So I picked, and I liked watching the Food Network. I liked watching the Food Network. I didn't like cooking, but I just liked watching the Food Network. And I go, I'll be a Food Network chef. That's what I'll do. And so I applied to culinary school, which was very easy to get in.
Standing of your value as a performer, right?
Say that again.
That there was some understanding on your part of your value as a performer.
Yes, I I thought that I had a very well, people will always tell me I had a very vibrant personality. So I was like, and people would be like, well, you should be on TV. So I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. I like
Okay.
cooking and I'll be on. Yeah. And so I applied, got in, made the newspaper. I picked West Palm Beach because at the time, The Simple Life was a big show. So Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie were big during my time. And they frequent West Palm Beach quite a bit to this place called City Place that they had just built up and all that. So I was like, that's cool. I'll go there just so I can make the school newspaper. Me, 17 years old, making life decisions.
I can totally tell why your mother dislikes the story, but
Yeah.
I believe in my heart of hearts that there's more to it, even if it's subliminal. There is.
I guess that they could be, but no, that is reasons I picked it. And then I get in and then I'm like, I made the school newspaper and it's like the big spread here. It's like a double page spread. So,
yeah. It's so pretty amazing that you got in.
I was amazed that I got in. I was like, oh, really? Did you see my grades? No, but when I was there, my chef pulled me to the side after a few classes and said, Anderson, you're a great personality. I don't think it's for you. I go, well, why not? He was like, because I don't think this is going to be what you think it's going to be. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be a Food Network chef. And he's just like, okay, that's not how that works. Yeah. So, blessing in disguise, because I was like, well, I really don't like this at all. So, and I could never follow the rules, like I got in trouble for making my scrambled eggs a different way.
How do you make scrambled eggs?
Because the way that they teach you, you're supposed to use white pepper, but I like to use black pepper because I like the flakes of the black pepper in it. I was like,
me too. I don't even own white pepper in my kitchen.
Right? I'm a simple boy, so I was like, I don't even know what white pepper is. But
what
pepper.
I had no idea.
Anyway. So he just was like, no, you got to follow rules. And he's like, you don't strike me as a rule follower. And I was like, well.
And you said you were focusing on baking, right?
Yeah, I was going to do international baking.
That is like so specific, I hear.
Yeah.
Because I don't cook at all. There's no room for interpretation.
There's really no room for interpretation. So I was just headed down the wrong path for sure. For sure. So then he just, and then I took a sabbatical. That's what I like to tell my parents I call it. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I will go to school for broadcasting. And I'm not good at slogans like lectures and things like that. So I'm very like hands-on. And this school that I went to, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, that was their whole thing. They're like, it's very hands-on. And some of the radio personalities from the local radio station and the news station taught the classes there. So I went auditioned for that, and I got that.
I bet you did.
I did. I got that, and I did decent in school, and I landed an internship at CBS Radio. And I was so excited to get it. The only open internship was the rock station. And I go, yeah, little and so there.
So you're obviously, if The Simple Life is what you're growing up watching, you're a significant amount younger. So my question for you is, what does rock mean to you?
Okay, so no, it was Kiss.
Okay, that's Leon. What rock means to me.
Yeah, and no. This was like rock station, like.
Right. I mean, you went for metal. Kiss. Kiss isn't even your era. Okay.
I know. Yeah. So there I was.
Did you get some stones? Did you get any relief, or was it all hair bands and? It was
hair bands, and then there were some of the contemporary, like Kings of Leon was a big.
Okay, yeah. Nothing wrong with Kings of Leon.
yeah, Pearl Jam. Like it was a mixture. It was like a mixture of all of that, but it was funny to be me.
Okay, so on that note, what is your favorite music?
Celine Dion.
You're kidding me. I mean, I appreciate that Ms. Dion is an icon, but is that really your music?
Yeah, the first cassette tape I ever owned and listened to and wore out, Celine Dion's "Fallen Into You." That was my and she became she's my favorite singer. And from there I learned about, like, I grew up in the Caribbean, so everything was like very slow. I learned about that there were people who make music for a living, and I learned about Celine, I learned about Shania Twain, I learned about Mariah Carey, fell in love with Mariah
I was
Carey
about
when
to say, what's with the Canada bit? But okay, then.
yeah, and so it was, so that's my jam. That's my music. That's where I live my best life. And here I was on a rock station.
You know, I wasn't expecting that of you.
Yeah, no, no.
I wasn't
And this was
expecting it. I'm willing to overlook it.
What music did you think I like?
I felt that you would bring something cooler than
No,
Celine,
no,
but okay,
not.
okay.
I'm not cool at all.
Oh,
And wait a minute,
somebody.
Celine Dion is very cool, by the way.
I know that she's incredibly accomplished, and I appreciate that she is. I'm so sorry about the announcements. Yeah, all right. We will discuss this later offline.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I'll win you
All right.
over. I will win you over.
You know, I don't think you will, but I will love you. Okay. So, at what point in that moment? Yeah, I know. Grayish Textiles is saying harsh. I know I'm harsh. Okay, I'm being harsh. I'm being candid.
I don't think you are. Listen, I've had this conversation about Celine Dion for all my life. People were like, nah. Like this old, people call it old lady music. Celine Dion.
And I am, in fact, an old lady.
I do not think that you are. I do not think that you are. But Celine has a very big catalog, and people don't realize
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, no, everybody realizes that. I mean, she's been singing since she was 12,
So
or younger.
she's covered it all.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have total respect for her. It's just not my.
That's not your go-to.
Okay. So at what point the okay? So your whole thing at this radio station isn't necessarily about the music. It's about performance and
Well,
entertainment.
I was just an intern. I was just a little wee intern, and my job was to make coffee, put out the headphones, all of that. And I love making coffee. My mother taught me how to make coffee with a little cinnamon, a little nutmeg, and just jazz it up. I think she got that from Martha Stewart. And I would do that at the station. And plus, I had worked at Panera Bread, so I knew how to make really good coffee. And one day, one of the hosts, there were three hosts, one of them stopped and was like, guys, we have this new intern. And ever since he started, the coffee has just been fantastic. And I go, and I'm like, he's like, and he turns to me and he goes, what do you do to the coffee? And like gestures me over to the mic, and I like came on. I probably said something witty, funny.
On air.
Said, yeah, on air. Yeah. And I'm like, ooh. And yeah, and then so that happened, and I think people just loved it and were, found whatever I said. I can't remember what exactly I said, but it was funny. And then we did another bit, is what we call them in the show. And I get that bit was very funny, to where the evening drive guy who did the afternoon drive told the station manager, hey, I want Anderson to come on the afternoon show to talk about this morning. And then, I just, listen, I bring the best of what I do. I bring my best self every single thing, whether people are watching or not. So I just brought my best self, and eventually was given a contract to be a part of the morning show. And that was that.
That is so inspirational.
Oh.
It's like when, everybody who has a first job, who's answering a phone or making a pot of coffee, it just says that I mean, you could do anything,
You
meaning
never know.
or not. And if you do it with verve or passion or talent or just consideration, it's just it's wonderful.
Yes, I obsess over little things like and I love feedback. And one of the feedbacks that one of the hosts had given me one time was like, don't wrap the headphones, the cord around, because then it breaks the cables inside the cord. So every morning they will come in and they will be like, everything will be laid out. I was responsible for printing all of like the show run throughs and making sure everything. And then so I just had great fun doing that. That was really fun for me. And then it was good to meet the listeners, because I guess people really did, well, you can't see that I was black. So it was, it was funny to show up and be like the black guy, the black gay guy. This
listening to Kiss.
Oh.
So funny. Oh, you're throwing your head back.
I still think that's
so. How long did you do that before you were like, okay, this isn't for me?
I did it for 2 years, and that was how long the contract was for. And then I decided I felt that I wanted to again move to New York to be an actor, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. But
not anything to make fun of. It's inappropriate.
Being an actor is hard. I don't like rejection, so I take that real personal. So that was not going to be for me. So, but I ended up coming back and working in film and television for a little bit. I did some independent shows, independent films, and and that was really, really, really fun. And I did it's so funny, one of our clients now at Somerselle, her client is the actress from my first film. I thought that was so funny. I was like, that is hysterical. And I got in trouble because I don't follow rules. I got in trouble on that set of that movie because I didn't like the wedding dress that the actress had to wear. So I took the actress off set to a local bridal shop.
You are shit.
Yeah. We hopped in a car. She was like, I don't like this dress. And I was like, I don't like this dress. And the dress was going to be on the cover of the poster. I was like, we really can't do this. So I hopped in a car, grabbed a PA, hopped in a car, took her off set, took her to a dress shop, negotiated the deal for the free dress, come back to set. The director is like, well, what happened to the other dress? Turns out the dress, the wedding dress, was the director's wedding dress. And she really...
No.
And then I got pulled to the side and was like, Anderson, you cannot take people off set. Yeah, that's my so that's my life. That's what I do. I break rules all the time. But it was really fun. And that
you bring initiative. I
bring initiative. And that parlayed into, I was a product placement director for a few other films. And actually the last one I worked on, they couldn't get funding, and not Drag Race, like RuPaul's Drag Race, people watching, like Drag Race with cars.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like the Rock Station. This is
like the Rock.
This is amazing.
Wait.
Like Fast and Furious, only not fast and not furious.
Alexa, no. So for this film, right, I had to fly to Florida. They flew me down to Florida to go to this drag racing trade show. Okay, everybody watching, pay attention. Look at me. Look at me. And I am the person talking to drag racers about fuel and pistons and what model.
So you were acting at this point, or you were doing the product?
No. I was the product placement director.
You were doing
I was at this trade show to find brands that wanted to either sponsor a car.
Okay, so is this now the beginning of your whole relationship and understanding of brands and their voice?
Yeah. So one of the ones that we in this particular,
where's the entrance to this?
The entrance was the first film that I did when I moved back to New Jersey to work in New York after radio. That film was introduced me to a bunch of other people, and it was, you just popped around, and then I landed on this last project, and
even the
just
wedding dress is kind of that.
the wedding dress is kind of that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was just going like, hey, this is going to be, we've got this actress attached to it, and it's just talking and getting people to be like, yeah, I'll do that. Actually, for the drag racing film, I got one of the coolest things I did. There was a touching scene in the script, and I sent this. I was watching Oprah at the time. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Oprah Winfrey fan.
I cannot follow you down the Celine Dion road, but I will follow you.
Okay, we'll have Oprah. We'll have Oprah together. No, but I was watching the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she had just did the camping episode with her and Gail, and I called not the camping people that she used, but like Coleman or something, and I said, "Hi, I'm Anderson Somerselle. I'm working on this film, and there's this scene that is a camping scene, and I think it's going to be a great scene in the film." And they donated tents and grills and all kinds of things for this film that never got made. Yeah, but that started the whole negotiation and like talking about brands and how do we represent a brand in the context of this scene. And
so what year is this?
Oh God, that I can't remember. Oh, I would say 2010, maybe.
Okay, so 2010. Okay, so at this point, branding is a big conversation. It is just, right? It's just captured the imagination of everybody. Like, oh, there are brands, brand meanings, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's the year everybody was like, I'm a brand. That doesn't fit my brand.
I feel like Martha Stewart and J-Lo were the two
Definitely
people
J-Lo.
that most ushered it into my brain, and a little bit Tyra Banks. But she had the Benny Medina connection with J-Lo.
Yeah.
But so where does the design part come into this? Obviously, you picked out the dress. You knew what was pretty, or you had an opinion.
I lots of opinions.
So, was your family style oriented? Like, where does that come from?
So the design element came. I didn't really know that. So I knew about interior design through watching Nate Berkus on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Right. That's how I learned about it. And I was like,
that's a good way to learn.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, because I used to move around my bedroom all the time when I was a child. I was like, you could get paid for this? But I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me in that field, so I didn't pursue it. And that was the first time in my life I've ever not pursued something because I didn't see other people that looked like me in it.
That is a terrible indictment.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I'm like, no, I'll be the leader. But then I did I assisted visual merchandising managers throughout my retail career. I worked at Macy's Women's Shoes for a very long time, then Nordstrom's and Cole Haan. So I understood merchandising and styling and all of that. What really got me into home was I didn't want to do this film thing anymore because I like a steady paycheck.
And it's a tough job.
Yeah. So the last scene, another scene in this script had this person that lived in a trailer and they loved peacocks and jewel tones and all of that. And at the time, Pier 1 Imports was doing a big push on that. So we had a meeting with Pier 1 Imports, and the marketing girl asked me what I'm going to do after this. And I was like, I don't know. I need to get out of this. I need something else. And she was like, you should do visual merchandising. And I was like, ooh, I want to do that. And then I just sent me to Pier 1, and I walked in, I got the job, and that started the home, that brought me home.
So you just always had that gift. You just had an ability, right?
Just like styling things and seeing things that work together. I would think so. I think that it has been honed through working alongside some of you fabulous interior designers. I've been working alongside you guys for 10 years now. And just seeing your projects, seeing how you put things together, I think has only strengthened that little skill that I had when developing. But it was definitely making the switch to Pair One imports that really did it. Then I thought I was gonna be a Pair One imports for the rest of my life, and I was like, I'm happy here, and realized you can't live off of that salary.
Oh.
No.
So when did you go directly into the fabric showrooms at that point, the fabric and furniture showrooms?
No, I went from Pair One to Our House Furniture, and that's where because I started to think, oh, I might want to be an interior designer. So that going back to that whole thing of seeing Nate Berkus and then not pursuing it because I didn't see many people that looked like me, that all went out the window, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. Then I had 2 clients, and I realized, you know what, this is not for me. not gonna do this. No.
Gotta kiss some frogs to figure out what's the right fit, right?
Yeah, but that's why I respect you guys
You're
so much.
circling it. You were circling like, what's my calling?
Yeah. And what I really enjoy and what I still enjoy is assisting interior designers with finding the right thing. So at Our House, I got to work with a lot of the Philadelphia design community and helping them source things that they can easily get that weren't custom. And I liked that. And then I ended up working at a design firm, and I worked at a design coordinator, which I was the person in the office. You go to your meeting, you do it. I need velvets. I need this. I need that. And I would be the one going through all the books, pulling all of that.
Yeah, making it happen.
Making it happen. That's what I loved, and that's what I liked about producing films, and that's what I liked about doing visual merchandising. It was like just getting it done is my thing. And then I did that, and then I got Holland and Sherry, which I did not know. Let me tell you,
They're so amazing.
Little boy, because I had no idea. I went to that the day before. I actually had an interview with Crate and Barrel, and I was really excited about the Crate and Barrel thing. I'm like, oh, Crate and Barrel. And then I went to this Holland and Sherry. I went to that interview, and I'm just gonna be myself because I don't know who these people are. Naive. And then Dan Waldron comes into the interview, and I'm like, oh, something's happening here. Okay. And I left going like, I'm not gonna get this job. I don't even know who this company is. And I went home and I researched it, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Still naive.
Indeed.
Sitting on my bed waiting for Crate and Barrel to call. Crate and Barrel did not call. I did not get that job, but I got the Holland and Sherry job, and I was at lunch.
So glad you didn't get the Crate and Barrel job.
Well, now I realize what a blessing it was. But it was a friend of mine that I was having lunch with, and I was like, oh, well, I've got like Crate and Barrel. I hope they call me. Oh my God, I think this is going to be so good. And I was like, oh, and then this place Holland and Sherry, and then I go but they called, and I think they offered me it, and they're like, she goes, Holland and Sherry, and I'm like, somebody just wrote.
Sometimes it's better not to know, and I think the way you just represented it, like you didn't know who they were, so you were completely yourself. Sure, and that's who you should be. If they knew that and they loved it, then you were at the right place.
Well, let me tell you, I quickly got intimidated because I was there for a little bit, and then, you're picking up the phone, you're like hearing all these names like Tom Felicia, and I knew Tom Felicia from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and I'm like, oh, is that? I remember we have these desks at the Holland and Sherry headquarters, and there are 2 people, and there's our computers, and I will pop up and look at my manager and be like, is that Tom Felicia? Like Tom Felicia?
Tom Felicia?
Yeah, and yes. And and then the AD 100 list came out, and I was flipping through it on my lunch break at my desk, and I remember calling my best friend and going, I have done something wrong. And she's like, what? I was like, I cannot be here. I can't be here at this company. I mean, like everybody on the AD 100 list is somebody that I talk to on a daily basis. And I'm like, what is my life? And it just became my life. And,
So
you
it's
know,
just it's appreciating who you are, and or yeah, allowing yourself to appreciate who you are.
yeah, yeah. But I became very obsessed with it. Like, uh, my boss at the time when I had started had sent me a text message of saying that Brian likes to get to the office. Brian Dicker likes to get it to the office at 8:45, and I was like, and she did a winky eye, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like, I don't know who. It took me 2 months to realize that Brian was the president of Holland and Sherry. I was like, who is this? Who is this man? I thought it was so interesting, and like, so I got there, and he was already there because he gets there early. And then I was like, oh, I got to beat him. So then I would try to get there earlier so I can beat Brian. Because then one time we rode the elevator together because we got there at the same time. And I'm not good at small talk, nor is he. So we were like, it was awkward. And I was like, I don't want to do that again. So then I started to get there. I was like, I don't want to have that moment. So then I started to get there at 8:00. And I was like, I'll get there at 8:00. I'll get there at 8:00 and never going to run into him. And it started to turn.
Does he know this story?
Say what?
Does he know this story?
I don't think he knows, but
It's so funny. I can't wait for him. I can't wait for us to tease him. That like your desire not to have to deal with small talk led you to be like the go-getter for early bird at the office.
Because I'm not good at it. I'm like he's so nice. He would be like, "How was your weekend?" And I'm like, it was great. I do nothing on the weekend. Like I literally lay in bed and watch documentaries all day. And I'm like, well, I'm not making fun and exciting to Brian. Like he's probably out hanging out with like, you fabulous designers. I'm like, like what does he want to hear from me? But then I understood because I just knew working at a design firm how important it was for everybody to get information. So I started to get to the office at 7:45, and that had become my like standard, because my goal, my mission was to always make sure that I answered everybody in my inbox to make sure that they had everything that they needed. Wow. And the way that this industry is, it's so antiquated in the way that information is given to you, to designers. And it was my personal mission, because I went from wallpaper at Holland and Sherry, customer service, to wallpaper, to being the purchasing coordinator for all of Holland and Sherry's represented brands, domestically and internationally. So that was a lot. And it was a lot of people depending on tracking numbers. And did this go? Did this get there? So I would just be there late at night.
So is that when you got the idea for Somerselle? Where
I got the idea for Somerselle. I started to cultivate the idea for Somerselle because I pitched Brian and Dan quite a bit on certain things that we could do to make designers' lives easier. Because the way that you were sourcing and shopping had changed. You were up late at night. First of all, I'll go back. The glamour of design firms, because you're in magazines and all that, people have this perception that you're these giant firms and you've got all these people working for you and whatnot. And I'm like, I quickly realized that's not the case. So I was saying to Brian, and well, I keep naming Brian, but I was saying to my management at the time, I think we could make this easier. I think, if they could log in and they could get pricing and all that, because then we're spending all this time on the phone doing that, and they could just get it themselves. And what happens if so-and-so is on lunch and she can't get the price, and I thought we should do better. And then when I moved to John Rosselli, because I love working with brands specifically, John Rosselli offered me the opportunity to work with all of these individual brands. So that's when I really started to get the idea, because the way that you guys needed to get the information, forget it. You got to call the showroom. You got to find your rep. You got to hope that your rep is there. then you know you've got a meeting in 2 hours and you need to know if this fabric is current. And I just thought, oh wait, we could do much better. We could utilize a lot more tech to make it easier for interior designers to get the
Yeah.
information.
And it's sort of like the fact that you didn't grow up in that system, in the not antiquated, but let's call it established. The established system
Yeah,
made you much more open-minded to changing the structure.
yeah. Well, I asked a lot of questions that I think irritated a lot of bosses, and I
So,
love you
so,
all. If you're watching, I love you all. All of you were great mentors to me.
totally. So Somerselle, the whole idea behind it is
Well, the whole idea behind Somerselle, the ethos of it is how do we make the interior designer's life easier? And the first thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to introduce, I love introducing interior designers to brand new brands. So first, I love artisanal brands, people who make their own patterns, all of that. So how do you collectively in the multi-line showroom setup, how do you have that where it's accessible easily at their fingertips? And I was like, well, you have to have all of their products on one site. So no one is shopping over here, shopping over here, shopping over here, shopping over here. So that's the first thing that I envisioned us doing. And we accomplished that. The second part was being able to easily get samples. We accomplished that.
but
Next,
but just to be clear for anyone listening, you're able to go into Somerselle and I can by myself check stock, see the price, and put it on reserve even if it's 11 o'clock at night.
yes, the only thing that you cannot do at the moment is check live stock. And we're working on, and the reason we can't seem to get that right is because all the brands hold their stock in a inventory their stock in a different way. So what we're working on is we need to create a centralized system for all of that flows into Somerselle. And we're very close to finishing that. But eventually when that's done, you will be able to do all of that. You will be able to, whatever time at night you're up, you can get that done. You can get the answer to the question that you need for your
Right.
10
So
a.m.
how are you going about figuring out, what pieces of this tech need to be put into place? Like, are you interviewing various technological services people and saying like, no, I need it to interface with this, and this, or especially when you're repping so many artisanal brands
Mhm.
under one umbrella?
Yeah, it's a lot of, hey, can you build this thing? And the foundation of our site is built off of Shopify, and Shopify has been a fantastic partner to us. They constantly are in awe of like how crazy our industry is. They're like, wait, that doesn't what? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but we find a way to like tweak and maneuver things. So a lot of external things that we need, and we partner with people that can create them, can easily feed into Shopify because it's just been so amazing
Yeah.
with offering the code and all. I can code a little bit now. I'm fascinated by
Really?
that. I'm like, oh, I can code that. That's cool. That's all. Yeah, just very little though. Very little code. Yeah.
So this is, like the trajectory is so crazy from starting with culinary school
I
to
know.
this. It's I don't think it's bad or weird. I think it's just interesting, and you're picking up things along the way to end up
Mhm.
in this place. And here you are innovating, an industry that for me is like critically important. If I could just have the ease that you were trying to create for me, that could be, and add that to the fact that you're curating these. I know everyone overuses the word curate, but you're selecting these brands that you see are fantastic. So
Yeah.
you're innovating and you're still tastemaking. That is not an easy combo.
I listen. I don't know. I I say thank you to interior designers for helping me craft my taste level, because I mean, Alexa, come on, I get to hang out, like I hang out with y'all. I know what you guys are picking. I know what you guys are like. My life is of service to all of you, and you all are so talented at what you do.
I hope. I hope
Say
it's
that
more.
again.
I said I hope not. I hope it's more than that. But you still,
No.
you're the one who saw the wedding dress and knew it was bad,
You
right?
know what's the funniest thing is like that person, the director and the producer of that film is one of my closest friends. So she's gonna watch this and she's like,
So sorry.
you really hated the dress? I was like, it was not
So
that.
sorry, producer, director, later, lady. I'm sure it was beautiful, but it was not to your taste, and or maybe you just, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't to your taste, and so
That was
whether or not it was empirically unattractive, it engaged your sensibilities and your desire
yeah.
to speak to them. See, I'm trying to clean this up for us.
No, I'm sure she'll call me right after this and be like, so no,
Right. Well,
listen,
I'm sure everybody would have an opinion about everybody's wedding dress, so I hear you. But
yeah.
it's you it's just very fascinating that you wanted to start this, forward facing career, and then you ended up doing something so vital behind the scenes. But you are still forward facing because you go find these brands, right? How do you deal with these
Yeah.
brands? How do you get them engaged with Somerselle?
Oh, so a lot of them, especially in my role at John Rosselli, it was a lot of brands will approach, John Rosselli because it's iconic. And, everybody always thought that I made the final decision. I didn't. And over time, wait, let me back up just for 1 second. So one of the most significant things about getting the role at John Rosselli for me was I had not seen a lot of people of color in that position. And I remember getting the job and walking out of John Gorgiulo's office, which was formerly where the antique shop was. And I called my best friend and I said, listen, this is kind of a big deal. And Instagram, I was never very forward facing on Instagram. And because of this particular moment and how I felt it was so important for representation of people of color, I was like, I do not like being a very public person. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And because I was like that on Instagram.
Like to be a public person. This
Say
from
what?
the man who wanted to be in the school paper, who wanted to be a movie star. What? Where?
Because I'm a Gemini. So there's
Okay.
definitely sides.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's also, yes, it is a very different thing being accomplished in a specific field and then representing a whole group of people who are not getting representation. That is a very different road.
Because I remember that moment of not pursuing this industry because I didn't see a reflection of myself. So I constantly think my role as a person in a generation, I think every generation's responsibility as a collective generation is to make the world better for the next generation. And I felt that if there's going to be a younger generation, another young little gay boy watching and wanting to be in this fabulous industry but won't see a representation of themselves. So I just decided, hey, I've got Instagram, let me do that. And just because of being out there and people knew I was the textile manager at John Rosselli, opened the door to all these brands that did not have representation. So when I never thought I was going to do my own showroom, but when it only made sense to do that, I reached out to some of those brands and they said yes. I can't believe they said yes. Grace Textiles, who is on here, cannot believe when Christina called me and tell me that she's gonna do it, I was like, you're nuts. But that's how I find them. I found them on Instagram. I found them just because I've looked at their lines before, whether I was at a trade show. Maresca Textiles is another brand that we represent. I met them at a trade show. Malabar, their CEO, Lynn, I met at a event in the D&D building. So over the years, I just collected all of these fantastic brands. And when I was thinking about this, I sort of like got samples from everybody, laid them all out, see how it all worked together, because I was thinking of, again, making the life of an interior designer easy. If you can source from a place where everything just works together, it's less for you to do. So, and we just did that, and we're a bunch of little brands just making a splash and trying to do things differently, and with the common goal to make your lives easier. So
That's a goal.
that's
That's a simple goal. It's a huge goal, and it's a great goal. I'm very, very appreciative that you're going after it. What what's what's the next? I mean, obviously, you're doing that. You're in the midst of doing that. What do you next 10 years in Somerselle? Next 20 years? Where are we going?
well, I'm gonna have a movie. Not gonna do that.
For you?
Not the next 10 years, really, we want to perfect this. I recently, I had to make a decision on physical showroom or not physical showroom, and I made a decision not right now, because we want to perfect this. I think this,
Well,
I
you're
feel like,
perfect.
say what?
Your timing's perfect.
Yeah, I feel like this is, I feel like after what we've been through collectively as a body of people on this planet, I feel like now we really understand and appreciate the internet. And I feel like it's made easy for people to source. So we're going to focus on growing this.
Yeah. I yeah, I mean, as long as I can call, and I know you rep the amazing Scott Meacham Wood, who's one
Yes.
of my beloved friends. Just the idea that I know I can reach out to you and you're just going to shoot me the samples and I will have them in hand. I don't, it's all doable. You don't.
Well, here's the fun part. It's not all new age. Like people get fascinated when they call and someone picks up the phone. They're like, what? And I'm like, it's not this crazy new age thing. We're just
Right.
strictly.
Still got some analog.
Yeah, you can still call us. Some people like to send us a list of samples from that they've written down from our site. Listen, the whole goal here is to work with interior designers however they choose to work, period. Like, if you like to write it, if you want to mail it to us, go ahead and mail it to us. That's fine.
Yeah,
If
whatever it takes.
Whatever you take. People are fascinated that they can get samples same day. It's, we're here in New York City, so we can messenger the samples down. You can come up to the office if you ever feel so inclined. We're way uptown, so you make a day of it. Yeah, I'm just committed to making sure that I'm here to make your life easy.
I loved your guys' presentation. I was watching all that.
Sorry. So I just want to say, Anderson, I'm so impressed with your ingenuity and your tenacity, your decision to continue what you're doing but making it better. And I'm so grateful from my side, because it is weird. We do go online, we do what we have to do during the day, and we're doing things off hours, and it is really, really, two things that are major. Having somebody with a wonderful eye who is picking these beautiful brands. So that is always got to be number one, right? Because even if it's easy to get or efficient, it doesn't count for anything if it's not fantastic. So
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And thank you for caring to innovate, because old industries do like to kind of get stuck in the mud. And it takes someone like you to just say, no, we can do better.
Yeah. Listen, interior designers are my rock stars. So I'm just following how you guys do your thing. So that's that.
I am going to hop on my flight, but I would like to invite you over to my house so I can cook you scrambled eggs with black pepper, and we can talk more about this.
Oh my God. Yes, let's do it. Oh my gosh. Well,
congratulations. Thank you so
tag
much.
my old professor.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you.